For today's podcast, I wanted to record a separate introduction because I don't feel like I did it justice in the conversation with Billy. But today's guest is Billy Cook, a guy I used to work with and who left rather unexpectedly a few years ago. Little did I know at the time what he was struggling with, and as he'll go on to explain within this conversation, he was battling an addiction. And we got back in contact very recently when I discovered his journey back to sobriety on TikTok, of all places. Very grateful to Billy for coming in. He held nothing back, very vulnerable, and I'm very grateful for what was a very good conversation. So please enjoy my sit down with Billy Cook. So, you good?
Yeah, man.
Right, wonderful. We'll get going. Thank you very much for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
You got a pretty interesting story that I wanted to really get inside. Known you for 6 or 7 years when we first started working together. Always knew you as like the extreme sports, fun, high octane guy.
Yep. Absolutely.
I knew you was a bit loose, a bit bohemian. You enjoyed a party, and it was not a secret, but we saw you having fun. So when I then discovered your journey again on TikTok, to see that you're struggling with like a habit with cocaine, which is nice to see that you've kicked, and you're celebrating 8 weeks today.
Yes, 8 weeks today.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Something to be really proud of.
Cheers.
I think I said to you earlier, you can only take it a week at a time. It's brick by brick when you're building that wall towards sobriety. So,
you hit the nail on the head with that, actually. When you messaged me, that it's definitely brick by brick.
Yeah,
so,
you can't jump straight forward to 2 years sober with it, can you?
No.
You have to take it day by day and do the work. So we stopped working together like just before COVID, sort of 2020.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably where your story really starts to take a bit of a kick turn. But start to tell us a little bit about where you'd got to, and just a little bit, and then we'll kick it back and say, how did you start?
Yeah. Okay. So, when we last saw each other, the cocaine was definitely around. Not so much as it got to. It was just sort of weekend stuff. Kind of harmless, really. But then when I left where we worked, I was more on my own, and then I ended up living on my own, and I just started to notice myself using more and more coke for no reason.
Not just socially.
No. It turned from being, I used to think it was a sociable drug. Most people do. You see it on TV. People are out doing coke with their mates. It would just then become, or it just slowly started to slip into this do it on my own. Not because I didn't want to share it with anyone. I used to quite like sharing it with people, get them on the same level. But it was, I think I used too much, and it took me into sort of a hermit state. So I would just use it on my own, and it would make me not want to go out, and it would make me not want to talk to people.
Became an antisocial drug.
Completely antisocial, which was a bit of an eye-opener for me. But
So you went from using it socially amongst friends to in private, and it having the opposite of the desired effect, and it took over your social life, but not in a...
Yeah, no, like you said, you used to know me as, being the, sort of, what should we say, happy-go-lucky, say yes to anything. I go to every social event. I slowly, the more I look at it now, I started to not turn up to stuff, flake out of stuff, say that I would go, and then I wouldn't go, probably because I was hanging out my ass for that day because of a session the night before. And then it didn't give me any anxiety to go out at all. I just didn't want to go out. That was
It was wasting your time between having some.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
So like, what was your, not necessarily like your first experience with cocaine, but where was your first gateway into, drugs and narcotics?
So I used to smoke loads of weed. So me and my mates, we'd smoke weed every day from the age of 15, and I probably smoked weed every day until I was about 22. That's no word of a lie, literally every day. Whether that was 1 joint, 2 joints, 3 joints, whatever.
Okay.
And I don't care what anyone says, it is a slippery slope.
It's a gateway, yeah?
Absolutely. Like, me and my mates were always like, nah, we'll just do weed, we don't need to do Class A's. Then festivals came along, and I was like, ooh, someone offered me a pill, did a pill, it was amazing. Like, one of the best nights I'd ever had.
Okay.
And then from then, it went on to other drugs, MDMA, cocaine. So that was the gateway was probably the weed.
Was you ever fearful of trying them, or was you always up for a
Yes.
good time?
No, I was always, how shall I put it? Not wise, but cautious. So instead of doing a whole pill, I would do half a pill. Because, you hear these stories where someone does a pill and they overdose and they die.
Yeah.
I didn't want that. I just wanted the high.
Yeah, you heard the horror stories, so
Yeah.
we'll go in diet MDMA.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, just cautiously, dab a little bit, try that.
And during that is like genuine recreational drugs, yeah. Like you're
Definitely,
at
yeah.
festivals, you're with your friends smoking weed.
Yeah.
So, did you have any bad experiences with that?
Not me personally, but I saw people on acid who had gone way somewhere else on the planet. Like, this guy tried to eat his own dick. That's how, can I say that?
You can say whatever you like, yeah.
I've said it now. But this guy, he almost bit his girlfriend's hand off. Something happened in his head and he wanted to use his teeth.
Right.
And he'd done a lot of acid. And he bit through a metal gazebo leg.
Good job he got nowhere near his dick, wasn't it?
Mate.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, if he was Marilyn Manson, it would have been off. But for me personally, I've done ketamine and I've gone to a dark side.
Mm-hmm.
And then I snapped out of it. But personally, luckily, because I have done a lot of fucking drugs, I'm not going to lie. But luckily, I've always been vigilant, I think. And I've never been out of control in terms of, like, when you can get absolutely plastered and you don't know what you're doing. I've never got like that with drugs.
Right.
I've always
had
still
an
had
awareness of where you are, what
Yeah.
we're doing.
because I kind of did know my limits.
You knew.
Until it came to cocaine.
Okay. So, how old or where were you in life when you first tried cocaine?
I hope my parents don't hear this, but I did my first line on my piano in my parents' house.
That's rock star. That's some Elton John stuff. That is.
Yeah, so I'll take that. But they know everything, so if they listen to this, I'll push it on them to listen to it, actually. But yeah, that was the first time I did a line of coke. So that was about 17.
17. So, what was you doing at 17? Was you still at school?
I was in sixth form at school doing my A-levels.
House party?
No, just we was going to go out underage drinking in Canterbury, and I had a few mates back to my parents. I don't know where my parents were, but yeah, we just, it was my idea to get some.
Right.
We got some, and it was pretty good, I'm not going to lie. It was
Yeah,
It was
okay.
a pretty good feeling.
And then, was it a bit of a staple from there?
No, it wasn't actually. Could take it or leave it.
Yeah, like
'Seventeen
17-year-olds' wages are not stretching to much
exactly.
cocaine, are they?
No, exactly. It was back on the weed shortly after. It was just pretty much random, I would say, at that age.
Okay.
Um,
So as you come out of sixth form, you travelled for a bit?
I went and did a ski season and then lived in France for 6 months. No drugs there, just...
Okay, he wasn't using out there?
No, just alcohol. And then after that was travelling Europe, again, no drugs, and then fast forward to Canada. Canada is where the drugs came, pretty big time.
How old are you in Canada?
19.
19, so you've had this 2 years between a bit of casual weed and some recreational drugs
Yeah.
to a bit of a gap.
Yep.
And tell us about Canada.
So Canada was drugs every day. Sorry, drugs every other day for 6 months. So I'm talking class A's like MDMA, coke, some mushrooms here and there. But the party scene was so live in Whistler in Canada because it's a ski season, you know, resort. Parties are every night, doesn't matter what night it is.
Yeah.
And we lived there. We were mates with dealers, and a lot of us just took a hell of a lot of drugs, but it was fun. It was nothing, you know. Didn't feel dangerous. We were just having a good time.
Is it quite a big thing in extreme sports?
Good question. Weed, definitely.
Yeah.
And
because I've heard of like Olympic snowboarders like failing drugs tests for weed and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely the weed side of it. In terms of extreme sports and class A's, I think probably not, because they're such athletes and, you know, they're so determined that I think if they did that, it would just ruin their lives.
Okay.
But it was just because it was such a party scene.
Okay.
In this particular place.
So you was there for 6 months.
We was in Whistler for a year.
There for a year, and you're using every other day.
Pretty much.
Partying hard.
Yeah.
Like having a good time, yeah?
Yep. That was brilliant. It was great, yeah.
Like, you know, I do like addiction stories and things like that, because usually on their early days, they've got the best stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people were just having a great time.
Yeah.
And before they hit their, you know, crossover point where things go from social to completely out of control, you know, there's usually some pretty wild stories that get them to that point.
Yeah.
So you're in the mountains in Whistler, like snowboarding or skiing?
Skiing.
Yeah,
skiing.
No late night trips down the mountain off your face?
Loads.
Yeah.
The trips up in the chairlift were probably the best.
Okay.
And me and one guy, I won't mention his name, but me and one guy we had an all-night session and then decided to take some more MD and go up the mountain because we thought it'd be a great idea. I can highly recommend not skiing on MDMA or snowboarding because it is very dangerous. Like, trees don't move.
No?
No.
Even if they look like they're going to?
Yeah, they look like they are moving. They don't move. They're very much rooted and they will fuck you up if you hit a tree. I don't recommend that at all, to be honest. It was fun at the time, but I could have hurt some other people. You know?
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
So you're grateful to have made it out there.
Yeah.
Feeling good. There's no regrets at this point from any of this use, is there? Like,
no,
it's
not at all.
No one's got hurt. No one's
got hurt. There was, you say that, one of the girls that we was with did have to go home because she became highly addicted to coke.
Okay.
So didn't really think about it much at the time until right now that you've asked me, actually. That should have been a wake-up call, really, because this girl, you know, we'd be doing loads and you'd just be talking to her normally on a day off of getting on it, let's say, and she'd just be sitting there and her nose would start bleeding.
Right.
And, and she was going out with a dealer, so it was always there, and she literally had to fly home and save herself because she was in a hole. And I've not really thought about that till now, actually.
What was your thoughts at the time, like you and your friends? What were you thinking about? You know, did you think, oh, she's pushed it too far, glad we're not like that, or...
honestly, it's probably like pussy.
Yeah?
Yeah, pretty much thinking about it. I don't think we actually thought about it. We cared because she was a very close girl in our group of friends and she is awesome. She's still awesome. But at the time, I was like, unlucky.
Yeah.
You've just checked out the party.
You've quit, yeah.
You've gone home. Yeah, bless her. But she's all right now.
Okay, that's good.
She's good now, yeah.
Yeah.
She's on the straight and narrow.
You still talk?
Yeah, I caught up with her the other day. And she's got some other stuff going on in her mind, which we had a good chat about. But she's off the drugs, and yeah, she's supportive in my story as well. So we could relate a lot.
Yeah,
to
where
I am at the moment and where I have.
Yeah, she's been some years ahead in the journey.
Yeah, so it was good to catch up with her. Okay,
and in terms of the frequency you was taking, you've told us, but what was like the volume that you was taking? Was it heavy drug use or just frequent?
Heavy.
Heavy.
We was racking up lines half the size of this table, and then meeting in the middle, so you could get to the middle first. Like, no word of a lie. I mean, if the table was bigger, they would have been bigger.
It would have been bigger, yeah.
So
Like
I'm
those people that do the eating challenges.
circles.
Yeah.
Like a little well, you know. Surprised we didn't
Excellent.
do that. But no, it was a lot.
Okay.
And it was cheap.
It was cheap.
It was cheap. And
Okay.
it was good because it only come from, let's say it's come from, you know,
It's closer to South America.
It's come from a lot less distance than it has in London. So, you know, there's less cutting up of it. It's more pure. And, you know, you can tell that straight away. Like, you do a little bit and, you know, you're pinging.
Okay. So your time in Whistler's up, you move on to where?
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yep.
Do you take the habit with you?
Nope.
No?
No, again, it wasn't an issue. Could take it or leave it. It was literally just young
New chapter
guy,
in your life. This one doesn't
just-
include cocaine.
No, this one didn't. I don't know whether that's because where we were in New Zealand, it wasn't accessible. I wasn't looking for it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, it was more just about, in New Zealand, it was just the booze, a little bit of weed, not even that much weed. More just about house parties and predominantly just skiing rather than partying. It was more, let's ski.
So you're still young, you're still having a good time, you're still enjoying, you know, a joint and a good few beers.
But embracing the country more. So one regret, I mean, I don't have too many regrets in life, but one thing I wish I did more of in Canada was explore the country, because I was just in this Whistler bubble and I didn't need to leave. Like, we were just there, sucked in. Whereas in New Zealand, I bought a van, travelled the country, skied pretty much every day, went bike, you know, so I'd sort of wasn't even thinking about drugs, really.
Okay.
Probably because it wasn't in my face over there as much, I think.
Okay, so you then come back to the UK from New Zealand.
Yes.
Now you're getting close to approaching the time that maybe you start working on the firm that we both worked at together.
Yes.
Okay. So
exactly right, yeah.
When you get back, you start a carpentry apprenticeship.
Yep.
What does your drug usage look like then?
Low. Weed still high, because I'm 21 now, I think. Still smoking weed a bit. Drugs just recreationally, not a problem. No, I was more, because I was 21 and grown up a little bit, I thought at the time. I was more determined to get my carpentry degree, and then I could use that to travel the world more. Carpentry apprenticeship, and then I could use that to travel the world more. So it was more focused on the job at hand, because I'd seen, when I was away, I'd seen older men stuck in my position. So I saw, this is no disrespect to a pot wash at all, but I saw, you know, some 50, 55-year-old guys who were pot washing, who I had conversations with, and they wanted to have a family, and they wanted to have a house, and they wanted to have a better job. But
they'd given their younger years to ski bumming. Yeah.
They'd gone from Canada to New Zealand, to Canada to New Zealand to Canada. There was no summer for them. It was just winter to winter to winter to winter, because they just loved the ski season. Lifestyle, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Which I can totally see, and I can see myself getting wrapped up in that, because why wouldn't I want to ski every day of my life? It was amazing. But something hit me, and I just thought, I need to get a career under my belt here. So I think I was more focused on the career.
Okay, so you work through, get your career on track. When does Class A drugs reappear in your life?
So carpentry apprenticeship. It was in the carpentry apprenticeship, but probably the third year of my carpentry apprenticeship, I'd say. You know, there's a lot of drugs in construction. There's a lot of nights out. It's always there, especially if everyone's doing it around you. It's probably started to become maybe every Friday night now, I would say.
Okay.
Because you'd usually go out after work on a Friday.
After work on a Friday, early.
In London.
Early to the pub. Okay.
Yeah, exactly that.
So when does it start getting beyond Friday night?
That's a good question. I would say were around about when I started to become a project manager. So I sort of come off of the tools, and I was working in central, what we know as central London, more. So it doesn't matter what night it is in London.
Okay,
You can
so
go out any night.
this must be around 2016, roughly when we start working together.
2016,
Yeah.
So then it would be like, let's go for beers after work on a Wednesday. No harm in that at all. But then we'd usually make the call and get a bag in or get whatever in, and then start to do it midweek after work, as well as the weekends. So it started to probably become more and more
involved,
beers.
but it's not impacting your work at this point.
Not. I would never do it at work, but let's say I wouldn't be on my A game the next day because I wouldn't have had much sleep and I'd be chasing my tail.
It'd been a late one. Yeah. Okay.
So it probably did affect my work. Yeah.
So as a couple of years tick by in that sort of format, or does it start to go quite fast from there?
Then we go. I reckon it started to get quite fast from there. Actually, it would be more. I'd go out more in the week because I'm travelling into London for work from Bedfordshire, so it's it's a long journey in. I'll just stay at my mate's house who lives in London and then go to work the next day. Oh, I'm out. That means I don't have to go home tonight. So
I haven't got to get the train.
Exactly. There's no 1 a.m. train that I've got to get. It's we can just drink in Camden all night now until 3 or 4. And then what happens with that? The more beers you have, you tend to. Well, I tended to always make the call, and then it became quite a trigger for me. Was the beers. So
did you ever
go for a beer without any gear?
Did you ever go out with the intention of not getting cocaine?
Probably not, no.
No, okay. So it was always like, we're going to have some beers and we're going to have some lines as well.
Yeah, you could, many times be like, we won't need it tonight. 2 beers later.
Making a call.
There it is, it's in my hand.
Okay, and you're the one calling it on?
9 times out of 10 it would be me, yeah.
Okay. So taking that, the next step, when does it start to invade almost every night or become the focal point of your night?
Quite a long way away from there, actually. It was only every night quite recently.
Okay.
But it would soon become, rather than it being a Wednesday and a Friday, then it would be a Monday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, and why not on a Sunday? Beers, football's on with the lads, watch some footy, get some gear. So it started to escalate, I would say, quite quickly. Where were we? That was 2016,
give or take.
So yeah, so for 2017, 18, 19.
Are these still good times? These are still fun? Still having the time of your life doing it?
Not the time of my life. Definitely had some fun times in Camden, some good gigs, some good nights out, some funny stories with Boris bikes. Don't leave a Boris bike in your garden. Make sure you put it back in one of those racks.
In a dock, yeah?
In a dock, because you get charged over a $1 for keeping it for the night.
Overnight rental.
Yeah, mate. Not the way forward. But no, it was. I was still having good times, but I was definitely noticed. Like looking back now, at the time, I don't think you notice much because you're wrapped up in work life, and then having a good time. Then bam, you're straight back into work life, and then bam. But looking back now, it was definitely starting to swallow me up.
So you're doing it with drinking?
Yeah. Always with drinking at this point.
Was drink a problem for you?
I could take or leave a beer.
Okay.
But if I had beer, then I'd definitely get some.
They came together?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's say you're still relatively enjoying it. Was there any regret or resentment whilst you're doing it?
Not while doing it. The next day, you'd be like, what was the point in that? I've just spent, 150 quid for no reason. Didn't need to be done. It's gone from being a festival to a party, a festival or a birthday party, special occasion thing, to now your night out in London, instead of being 50 quid, it is now 200 quid. So it was more like I've just wasted shitloads of money and I feel like shit.
Right. What's the draw to it?
What do you mean, mate?
What makes you think, that's what I want. I want cocaine.
That, my friend, is a question that I have not answered yet. I'm looking into that as we speak. But what I have, because I'm going to have to fast forward a little bit here, but at the moment I'm seeing key workers and a therapist, and they seem to think, or they know, that I've scored high on the ADHD questionnaire, so I've been put into that system.
Okay.
And they say that one thing that someone with ADHD who has got an addiction is chasing is the not caring the next day. So you're not chasing the high of the drug, you're chasing the next day feeling, which sounds crazy because it's this, you feel like shit. But when you're feeling hungover and a day after a session, you don't really care about you could have a bill that comes through the door and you could just put it in the bin.
So to an ADHD person, the slow part of the next day is actually the feeling they're possibly after.
But but I didn't know that was the case. I can't say whether that is exactly what I was chasing yet, but it does make sense because it got to a stage where I wasn't enjoying the high.
Okay.
So I wasn't doing it for the buzz anymore. So
okay.
I don't know what the draw is yet.
Yeah, okay, we'll get to that.
I'll let you know.
The reason that someone once told me that once you've been drunk and used cocaine, it's like a feeling that you just can't get from drinking alone.
Because they mix.
And
this is called cocaethylene, I believe.
Right, okay.
So cocaine and alcohol, when you mix them together, produces another substance, and it heightens the high, and it means you can drink more. So you're just
the world's only getting better to you at that stage.
Like, I'm smashing beers here and I feel fine, and then you're doing more gear and that's even more heightened. But the effects that have, your heart's pumping faster. So it's just it's a bit of a self-destruct button, really, the drinking and the coke together.
Okay. So when would it when did it start to go away from being fun and start to cross over into getting in the way of your life?
In the way of my life probably would be in my previous relationship. So I was pretty much given the it's me or the drugs. And I was like, well, I don't want to lose you, but I don't want to lose the drugs.
I can't really lose the drugs, yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up still doing the drugs, but hiding it. So then it turned into of a more, it got to be secret, because it's a secretive drug anyway. A lot of people go to the toilets and do it. They go outside and do it. They go to the alleyway and do it. They don't really do it in the pub, in front of everyone. So then it got turned to an even more hermit and secretive act, and that's when I noticed myself buying it and doing it on my own. Whereas I never used to buy it for myself. I'd buy it because I'd be out. Whereas now, for some reason, it just went into this, I'll get it and do it myself in the toilet. What an idiot.
Okay, yeah.
If I could see myself as a fly on the wall.
So you're lying about it to your partner.
Yeah.
Before that, she knew about it.
Yes.
Did she know about it from the start? Was it like a...
Yeah.
So it was very open.
I'm a recreational user. I'm not going to hide that from anyone.
And she starts to notice this change.
Yeah, she probably did, yeah.
You get the ultimatum.
I mean, the turning point of the it's me or the drugs was we was out for dinner with another couple, and I left the table to go and pick up. But the dealer kept me waiting for 45 minutes. So I left the table whilst having a meal with these people for about an hour. And then, because once you got it in your head that you want the gear, you're going to get the gear. Like,
you can't not have it.
You can't, it's weird. So I was there being like, holy shit, that's 20 minutes, that's 30 minutes, that's 40 minutes. And I was gone from that table for an hour.
Did everyone know where you had gone?
Probably.
Okay.
She did.
Yeah, okay. It wasn't common knowledge of this is what I'm going to do.
No. I was like,
excuse
I've got
me.
a call. It was a long fucking call.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So, and I think the next day that was the conversation. It's me or that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you then start, like say, doing it in secret, and a lot of addiction stories include being secretive, lying to loved ones
Mm-hmm.
and friends. And how are you concealing this from anyone? Like, do your friends still know? Or are you
Yeah,
like publicly,
friends.
no, I've given up?
Oh, what the drug?
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't tell my friends shit. They just thought it was carried on as normal.
Okay.
Yeah, just bullshit. Just plain ass, straight up bullshit. Did you do it tonight? Nope. Had I? Yep. So I obviously didn't care really. Yeah, that's when I sort of probably realised that the parasite, as now I know it got hold of me, and it was sort of, it was controlling me rather than the other way around.
Yeah, now you're lying about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Because I'd never been ashamed of it to start with. But because of that scenario, I was a little bit like, this kind of got me now.
so how do you explain some of the things that are going on with it? Because like you said, £150 a night when you're buying cocaine and beers and things like that, that must be like noticeable.
Very secretive with money. So, no one would ever know what I got in my account. But I was earning good money. I was earning very good money for the age I was. So didn't really have too much of I mean, it's not every single night doing that. At this point, it wasn't that much every night. It's still a lot of money. £150 a week, 3 or 4 times a week is a lot of money. But one thing I've learned, again, with the therapy and the NHS key worker that I'm with, is addicts are very good problem solvers. And if you ain't got the money, you're going to get the money somehow. Whether you, a shit example, if you sell a pair of trainers or sell a bike, if you haven't got the money, you'll get it to...
And you'll find a way to lie about, if someone's asking you about it and you're not being truthful, you'll find a way to lie about it.
Yep. If you haven't got a number for a dealer, you'll get a number from someone else. Or you'll walk into a pub and be like, right, who's in there sniffing? He is. I'll ask him.
Right.
You just work out how to get it.
So,
any scenario.
How did these lies and the secretive using unravel?
What you mean, like this time? Because it didn't really unravel last time. It just sort of the relationship ended.
Right.
So it didn't really unravel. Well, I don't think it did. I don't know. But they unravelled this time because I hit rock bottom basically.
Okay.
So that's.
So that relationship moves on.
Yeah.
You carry on using.
Yes, a lot more now.
A lot more.
So now I'm in a house on my own, which is a perfect storm because I've got money, because I'm earning money. I'm on my own, so I can do it secretively because that's now what it's gone to. I don't have to go out. This is great. I've got no one on my back. Got no one to answer to. Got money.
There's nothing stopping you.
Nothing stopping me. It's a perfect storm for me. It was.
And how often are you using now?
Probably still about the same. Still, let's say 4 times a week.
Okay, so tell me how that then... I was going to say how that then cascades into your complete unravelling, but where does COVID sit in this?
So COVID is just after the breakup, I guess. So, yeah. So then it's COVID.
How?
And then I left my job.
Yeah.
As well, which is definitely one of was definitely down to coke because I just looking back now, I was not focused. I was not clear. I made some stupid decisions. And yeah, I left my work. So now I'm on my own and it's COVID. But actually, I started to get better. I started to be like, because I was working for myself now, I started to be more motivated. You can't run a business on your own if you're a cokehead, or I don't think you can. You might be able to, but...
Yeah. Glamorised by the Wolf of Wall Street, but yeah.
That was exactly what I was thinking in my head at that moment. So yeah, I started to get back into my fitness, back to the things that I love, the biking, the skiing, the hiking, canoeing, whatever. And yeah, COVID, I wasn't actually that bad on the drugs, I don't think.
Okay. Is that's a choice from the business perspective, or is that a availability issue?
Oh no, you can still get it.
You can still get it.
Yeah.
But you're not at the pub, and it's not coming with beers.
No.
Is that helpful?
But I could get it posted through my door. So, I don't know how shocking that is for anyone to hear, but I could send a message at 9 a.m. in the morning and have it posted through my door, or I could send a message at 4 in the morning and get it posted through my door.
Yeah.
So access was always.
I follow your TikTok where you tell some of these stories, and the one that shocked me was that you can get it quicker than a pizza. Yeah, 4 minutes.
Mate, it is, and that's no word of a lie. And you have to if you're looking to get drugs out of your life, you got to get rid of those numbers, because
So
London was heavily hit
Yeah.
with people. I won't mention anyone. Heavily hit with people selling cocaine because they saw the demand, and this was around about 2017, funnily enough, when I was going out a lot, and that's obviously spread wider than London, and you can literally, like you just said, you can get it quicker than a pizza in London for sure.
So in that time, do you have any little like mini retirements? Any delete the dealer's numbers? I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, but the problem solver comes out, and then you message someone who you know has a number, and then you get the
And
number.
you're back.
So that would happen quite regularly, actually. I'd wake up, I say wake up, don't get much sleep. Wake up after a couple of hours sleep and think, you have the horrors, we used to call it. Oh, you get the horrors. You're like, oh, I've got to delete the numbers. I've got to get rid of any way of getting it. Then you delete the numbers, and then come the evening, I'll just message this guy and get a number from him because I know he does it. So if I wanted to get rid of access to a phone number for a dealer, I would have to delete a shit ton of my friends out of my phone
Because they were 2 steps away.
Yeah, man. Anyone really is not that many steps away from cocaine.
No.
I'm not going to lie.
So you're having these weekly moments where you're like, I've got to get this out of my life. So even then, you're identifying it's in your mind that this is wrong. Yeah, I shouldn't be doing this. This isn't good for me. This is not how I live my best life anymore. But it's coming back. So at this point, is it an addiction?
Yes.
Okay.
Looking back now, it is. But at the time, I thought I had the control. I thought I could take it or leave it. And I probably could actually take it or leave it. But deep down, I think it was a simmering addiction.
Right.
To get cocaine delivered through your door at 4 a.m. in the morning. And it's not fun and games when you're on your own.
It seems lonely, yeah.
Yeah, massively.
So when did you first, you say it's when you moved out, but when did you realise that this crossed over into a genuine problem that needed resolution?
So I can't remember the exact date, but it was before I was with KD. Let me think about this. Something happened. I don't know what it was, but I just ended up getting on it every day for a week on my own in my house every day for 7 days. So I didn't go to work, didn't really sleep, didn't really eat, and I ended up just breaking down into tears and ringing my sister, like one of my sisters, and my communications up to that point had started to go really downhill. So she sort of noticed that something was up, and I called her at like 6:30 in the morning at the end of this session. Not a planned session. I've never planned in my life to go on a week-long session. Ever.
Yeah.
It just goes to Groundhog Day. Pick up again, and again.
What are you doing in this session? What are you watching TV? Are you drinking beers? Is there football on? Is it?
Mate, I hate to say this. Sometimes I went driving like a fucking idiot, like absolute moron. I just drive down the motorway. To answer your question, the reason as well, it gives you massive paranoia when you're doing that much on your own. So you think that, like, I started to think there was people outside my house. Started to think people were listening through the doors, like all sorts of shit. Because no sleep as well has a massive effect on the brain. You start to see shit, think you can hear shit. So I used to get out of the house and drive like an absolute moron. TV shows on my phone, just, yeah.
So in reality, you're living a normal life, but using cocaine really heavily whilst doing it. So if I was to have a week at home, it would be nipping out, driving, watching TV on my phone.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of football, a lot of sport, a lot of music.
Okay.
Clean the house. The house needs to get clean well good.
Yeah, real fast as well.
Right, yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. So you get to the end of this 6 or 7 day bender and you call your sister.
Yeah, I called my sister about 6:30 in the morning, and bless her, she came up that day with my dad.
You tell her straight away.
So straight away. First time I believe that I opened up to someone that close to me, and yeah, I just said I'm in trouble here. So that was my first sort of like, ooh, I've got an issue and I need help. So I did actually try to get help from the NHS, and I was doing calls once a week, and that didn't do shit for me because
This was over the phone, or
this is over the phone, which I've realised doesn't work for me. I need face to face. I need that,
human connection.
accountability, really.
Yeah, you're not. You need someone to lie to rather than just a phone call.
Yeah, exactly. I need that face. And I was doing calls once a week, and then I just stopped doing them because I was like, these ain't doing shit for me, so fuck it, I don't need it. And then just went back into using a little bit.
How long after that phone call to reusing again was that?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Like that.
Okay. And was it head first back in, or fairly recreational again, and start the slippery?
Again, so by now the recreational side of it was scarred. I couldn't do it out. If I did it out, if me and you went out for a beer and I did a line, I'd have to go home.
Right.
I'd have to phantom because it just, I don't know. It's a switch has gone in my head where I can't be around people doing it. And if I am, it's hard. It's hard to hide it. It's like, can they see?
Okay.
Can they see?
So you've got this thing in your head now where you're like, I know I needed help and I went and got some.
Yeah.
And now I have failed. Was that the feeling, or was it you didn't even think about that?
Didn't really think about it.
You're just like, I'm back.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
that parasite just knocking on the door going, remember me?
Where does that go from there?
What, the usage? So shortly after that, I went into about 6 months after that, I went, to another unplanned week-long binge, should we say. And at this point, so what people know, because my communication goes to shit. Like I've always been.
You start shutting people out.
Yeah, I've always been not the greatest at keeping in contact with people. Anyway, that's changed now. But people would realise my communications, and they realise the signs. So Jess, my sister, and Steve, my best mate, they realised, and I didn't realise they were talking to each other. And I'll be saying one thing to Steve, one thing to Jess, and so they're on to me. And I went on this week-long binge, and the last day of the binge, Steve broke into my house and he shouted up the stairs, and I was upstairs. I was like, holy fuck, I've got a problem. And that's when I was like, I need help again.
That's the point most recently?
Nope.
No? Okay, so this was...
So that's binge 2 out of 3.
Okay. What happens at the end of that one? So Steve finds you at home in a bit of a hole.
Yep. I then go up to his house in Wolverhampton and work on his house because I've renovated his house basically. He was like, look, you can come and work at my house, you can do that, and that sorted me out for a bit. And that was good. I was earning money again. I had motivation. I wasn't on my own. I was being babysat pretty much, and I was working on his house. So yeah, and then I was fine for a bit, and then just slipped into it again.
At that point, how much did you want to be clean?
I mean, if you asked me the day after the binge, I'd say I really, really want to be clean.
I'm ready to change my life.
Yeah, but then, a week later, I'm all right. I don't need any outside help here. I hadn't hit rock bottom, basically.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad yet.
It wasn't that bad yet. Sounds bad to be, crying on your own, ringing your sister, but it wasn't. I wasn't worried about my health at that point.
So you go to your best friend's, you work there for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use?
Yep.
Does he know?
Nope.
Does he now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had the. I'm an open door now.
Yeah.
Any question I'm answering honestly, because when you use and you've got all these lies and the bullshit, it's very exhausting. And to be honest, it's so much more. It's just easy. You don't lie about anything. It's just.
How long did you stay with him whilst secretly using?
Probably a week. I was working on his house, and then I was using on the evening.
Yeah.
So
is that like locked away in your room? or you at the pub together socialising?
So yeah, no, I'd actually do it when he was there. So because he's my best mate, I could do it around him. You'd think that's strange because he'd notice it, but he says that I hold it very well, so he wouldn't know. But I felt most comfortable doing it around him, so it didn't matter to me that I was doing it in that social situation.
So once you finish with him, you move back, and you say that's when it starts to unravel again a bit for you.
I mean, there's when I met Katie in October 21, she was in my life, so it was a new thing to be like all in for. So, you know, it wasn't present that much. She asked me before, or we've had a conversation about it, and we spoke about me using it on nights out, parties, whatever. She had no problem with that, which is cool.
So you gave like a half truth. She doesn't know about.
Yeah, she didn't know that, like early on about the you know, the bad times that I'd had, but we had spoke about it later on in our relationship, and I told her that I did have an issue before. And then so that sort of disappeared for a while, and then again nothing happened. It's quite weird because for me there's no, well, I haven't actually learned this yet, but I might do with therapy and the key worker sessions. But it doesn't. I can't see like a pattern.
There's no clear trigger. No start
people
point.
Say, "Oh, but it's beer." Yeah, but I could give or take beer, and I could leave beer, so that's not actually.
I don't have beer for cocaine's sake.
No.
It's right. Okay.
Yeah, or it could be, you know, sometimes if we had a little tiff, and then I'd go and want to make myself feel better. So what's the false way of doing that? Quick way of doing that? Picking up some gear because you're in London.
Okay.
So then it got a lot better. Then I started to. Then the real problem started, if you want to go into that.
I do.
Is when I sold my house.
Okay. Money back on your hip, big time.
Sold my house, got loads of money. I'm unsettled because this is for the first time in my life that I've never had a base. So my parents have always lived in their house, and I've always had that comfort, you know, when I was younger. Never moved house. Then I've always, since the travelling, I've always rented my own place. So I've always had my base. Then I bought my house. So again, that's my base. But I remember saying to Katie how unsettled I felt once I sold my house, because I had my belongings still in Leighton Buzzard in a unit storage that I was paying for. I had some of my belongings at Katie's house in London, and then I had some at my parents' house. And I was now also working on a job where I was living on site. So I had all of my stuff and belongings around the country, around, you know, a few different counties.
Yeah.
So I was quite like, I didn't know where to stop, where to sleep, what to take. I was living out of a bag. And then, that's when the big boy binge come, which was...
So how did that start?
Horrendous. So it started, we had a little tiff about nothing. And I went to a pub in London, and sun was out, nice beer, football was on. I know what to do. I'll get some gear.
Great afternoon for it.
Great, yeah, exactly that. And again, with the week-long binges that I had beforehand, they're never planned. I never planned to do that. It's just I'd pick up, and the next day wake up, have a shower, have some breakfast. I'm not going to do that. Delete the numbers, like we were talking about. Before you know it, it's just kind of like robotic. Message someone, you got a number, and then it's in your head, and you want it, and you're going to get it. Then I pick up, and it was just the same, and it lasted about 3 weeks.
So you're in London.
Yep, in between London.
Are you happy to do it in public there, or is it like I'm going to snake off to somewhere else and use? At one point, you said you could only use at home, but here you are in a pub.
So I get what you're saying. So it was people that I knew.
Okay.
I couldn't do it around because I thought they'd be able to tell. So if I was in a pub on my own, I could use.
Fair game.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's day one. How does that week begin to unravel for you?
So then I'm doing some work where I'm living on site. So then I'd work in the day, and then in the evening I'd pick up and go again and again, and a lot more. And then I'd palm off for the work, stay in Airbnbs a couple of times, then go back to work the next day, then pick up again. It was all very messy.
So in terms of like classic addict behaviour here, are you lying about this?
Yep.
You're running around without telling people. You're
Yeah.
not keeping to plans by not turning up to work.
Yeah. I'd say that I'd meet Katie and not go and meet Katie. That happened way too many times within this period of usage. I'm surprised she's still there, to be quite honest with you. I'd tell the guy that I was working for that I had some other shit going on. I would tell Katie that I was working. I would tell my sister that I was working. It would just be this mess of a bullshit lie, really.
Okay, so
I started to realise that I was in trouble.
So do you say that binge? How long did that last? That third
About
binge?
3 weeks.
So how long into the first week do you start thinking, I'm in a spiral, or do you not? You just riding that wave?
Because I'd done a week before, I was like, I'll be all right. I can do a week. And then again,
what are you thinking? Are you thinking I'm flushing out some demons here and I'll be all right in a week, or?
No, I'm just thinking I'll do it and then I won't do it tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Never
right.
planned.
You're
never,
bargaining with yourself every single day.
Yeah, exactly. I've never planned in my life to do more than one night of cocaine. Like I've never been like, I'm going to go on a weekend session, or we're going to go on a stag do and let's do it for 3 days. Or I've never thought I'm going to do it for a week on my own. No way. It's always just been, all of a sudden I'm picking up again. It's like, what the fuck? And you're even walking.
It's just intuitive.
To the dealer, yeah, going, I don't want to do this. And that's why I think it's me chasing the not caring, because I realised I was just burying my head in the sand with loads of shit,
Okay, so after a week of, I'm stopping tomorrow, I'm stopping tomorrow, you get to week 2.
A bit worried now, yeah.
At this point, you've got some resentment, some guilt, some feelings that you're trying to get rid of in relation to how this is feeling. What do you say to yourself each day? Because it doesn't stop just yet, does it?
No, not yet. I mean, it's really like two people on the shoulder. So you've got the devil on that shoulder, which is the drug, the cocaine. And that's just, it's always in your mind. Even now, it's still always, it's only been 8 weeks. It's still always there. You always think about it in some way. Not that you want it, it's always there. But then you've got the other guy, who is me, going, no, you don't need it. But that parasite, that demon on that shoulder always seemed to win. It's a very scary thing to have on your shoulder, is that little demon just saying, just do it. And you listen to that demon.
And I'm guessing as week 2 rolls through, the demon's presence becomes far bigger than the angel on the other shoulder.
Yeah. So we're going from, one bag. Let's say week 1 was 1 bag, let's say 50 quid. Then by the end of that week, it was 3 bags, 50 quid. So that's 150. Then it was going to 5 bags. And then, and then when the dealer says to you, you ain't doing all this on your own, are you?
Right.
You're like, okay.
When your dealer wants to put you on a diet.
Yeah, but the dealer's loving it. He's like, not a problem.
Okay.
He's like, where should I just follow you around?
Is this, you're going through this period and obviously you're starting to pick up. Are you picking up multiple times a day, or because you're like, I don't need 5 bags at once. I'm not doing 5 bags.
So exactly. So week 1 would be 1 bag on that day, and then you need to pick. Once you do something, you want to do more. If you've got loads of money in your pocket, you're going to get more. So you pick 1 bag up, and then 11 o'clock at night coming like, oh fucking hell, I need some more. So then you pick up another bag, maybe 2, because you don't want to run out. Then by the end of second week, I was picking up 3 bags at a time, because I'm knowing that my tolerance has gone up and I don't want to run out, because I'm going to go and pick up again. And then week 3 is 5 bags a day.
Wow. And how early in the day are you starting to use this?
There was no conception of time by this point.
Right. This is a 24-hour rolling clock, and you sleep when it happens to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you run out. But you're trying not to run out. So it's very messy.
How do you hit, the pit of despair, your rock bottom, your enough is enough moment?
So where was I?
Or have we undersold this period of time?
No. I mean, yeah, it was a jank. This is the darkest moment of my life. It was the most shameful I've ever felt. If I was a fly on the wall, I'd spit on myself. That's just what are you doing? I can go into it deeper if you want to, like any questions at all. But my rock bottom was I did my last line at 10:30 in the morning, so I've been doing it all night.
Right.
And somehow I was in Hyde Park, and I was having like basically heart palpitations, and I was hearing shit, I was seeing shit, and this is because of not just the cocaine, because I know it doesn't make you hallucinate. It's because of the no sleep, no food, and I just sort of pretty much fell on the floor and just broke down, and that's when I called Steve again.
So how had your relationship been with Steve since the last time? Because he'd felt the need to step in before,
Yeah.
and he's seen you, for lack of a better word, relapse.
Sorry.
You're right.
Yes.
How did he take that as a friend?
He knew it was going on because he knows me. He knows my communications. He could tell you.
Did he?
When it's coming.
Did he shut you out at that point?
Nope. He kept asking me, "Are you all right? Do I need to know anything?" And I'd just go, "Are you all right? Do you need to know anything?" And I was just going, "Yeah, I'm fine. Just really busy." So he knew, but I know Steve. He's got no judgment. He doesn't think any worse of me for this because the job that he's in. He sees a lot of stuff to do with this, and he knows that the problem that I have.
It's not a simple fix.
It's not, and he knows that people get overcome by this parasite. He's the one who put the word parasite in my head because he knows what that makes you do to your friends, your partners, your family, and everyone. He knows how much shit you would say just to go and get it. So I think he was actually pleased that I'd finally got there, probably.
Yeah, you have to get there on your own, don't you?
Yeah.
So like before,
I was ready now.
Before he said he broke into your house. Essentially, he stepped in, and you clearly weren't ready. This time, someone once said to me, if people aren't asking, they're not interested. So now you're asking to get clean. So
yeah.
you're now interested. It's 10:30, and you call Steve. Pick the story up from there.
So he's like, "I knew something was up. Thank you for telling me. Come stay with me." So I went up to Wolverhampton. He lives in Wolverhampton. And I slept for about what felt like 3 years when I lay down on that bed. It was amazing. And I was really on the path of I'm going to get clean. But at this point, I still didn't admit that I needed help from outside, believe it or not. It was 2 days after I got there.
It's an addiction at this stage.
No, it's an addiction, but okay. I still think I've got it.
Yeah, I can beat this.
I got this. I picked up when I was at Steve's.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So he'd given me this safe haven, no judgment, come and sort your life out, let's get sorted. 2 days later, I was in Wolverhampton in a pub, and I went and picked up.
I'm going to find it.
Yeah, and I did that 2 or 3 times while I was up there. And that's when I realised you do need fucking help because you ain't doing this on your own. And I was just going, if I left Steve's pretending that I was okay, I probably could have come to London and ran myself into the ground. Either that be homeless,
could have gone again,
friendless, no relationship, no money.
So at this point, you're staying with Steve. What have you told your partner Katie at this point?
I believe I told her I was up there. Yep, I said that I was up there.
Did you tell her why you was up there?
No.
Okay.
No.
So this is between you and Steve.
Yeah, I needed to tell Katie that my issue. I needed to tell her face to face, and I did go to London to do that. But no, I didn't tell her over the phone up there at all. Okay.
So you go and stay there. You pick up a little bit.
Mm.
When's the end?
Yeah, I think I picked up 3 times when I was up there, and I just had a realisation. And Katie actually, I think it was probably the 7th time that I said I was going to be there, and I didn't rock up, or just didn't turn up, and she was like, goodbye, and blocked me on everything. I had to send her a fucking email to get hold of her. So well done to Katie for that. Couldn't believe you waited that long, but I'm very, very thankful that she did, because it probably was the point where I was like, if I don't sort this out, I'll lose her, and if I lose her, I will spiral downhill.
You saw her as a rock.
She is my rock, yeah. She is, yeah. But it's kind of strange because like I knew that, but I didn't know it, and I was also hiding this from her. But if she was my rock, then I needed to come out and tell her, because if she's my rock, she needs to know everything. And I was burying my head in the sand. This is one of the things I was burying my head in the sand with, was to tell her. I wanted to tell her more than anything, but I didn't know what her reaction was going to be. So
there was a fear of losing her from this.
Yeah, 100%. And then that fear became real when she blocked me. I don't know whether that was if she was going to leave me, or if she just needed some space from this bullshit.
Or needed to send you a message.
Send me a message, whatever. But I was like, yeah, I need to sort my shit out. And I didn't pick up after that, and I haven't picked up anything since then.
Okay. So that was the moment you really cleaned up. And it sounds like, in terms of what you'd imagine from like a Hollywood film, you'd think any of the 3-week-long binges or the 3-week binge would have been the moment. But actually, it was the moment you're staring down the barrel of losing KD that you realise it's time for change.
Yeah, because I'd hit my rock bottom. I'd already hit my rock bottom. Like, I've never been that unhealthy, that tired, that malnutritioned, that off of my face, that depressed, sad, in pain, ashamed, guilty in my life. But I still picked up a couple of days later. So I knew that I had a problem, but I think the picking up again made me realise that I need help. And then when Katie was like, I'm out, I was like, oh shit, I need it. I need that help.
So where do you go from there? Do you go straight to, you mentioned the key work, do you use 12 steps at all? Or
So good question, where do you go? Because I don't know if everything works for everyone, but what I did was I went to the Lorraine Hewitt house.
So like straight away, like from...
So from Steve's, I went back to London and told Katie, that's another... Do you want me to go into that?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, all right. So when week 1 of abstinence, this was a mad week. So I went back and met Katie in London, and I wanted it to be away from her house. I just wanted it to be me and Katie. So we got a hotel and we went out for dinner, and we went to the hotel first, and I told her everything. Like, that was hard, but as soon as I did it, the weight off of my shoulders was something else. Like, I was just elated, and her first reaction and comment was, I'm here for you.
Supportive.
We've got this. If you need to do it, you can do it. Just let me know.
In terms of like a reducing quantities, that sort of like, okay.
Yeah, she was, she's like, obviously don't go on a binge, but if you get the urges, we can talk about it. And this might help you to not take. And actually now, that is one of my...
Did she have any anger or resentment to you?
I can imagine, you probably have to ask Katie that, but I can imagine so. But I think she hasn't shown me anger.
She didn't show it.
No, she's asked me a lot of questions since, because you would have loads of
trying
questions.
To understand.
Yeah. But she didn't come across as angry or any resent. It was just fully supportive, and I needed that, and that was a saviour. That was a risky move from me. Well, that's a roll
of the dice.
I was all in on red 32. Thank you very much. And yeah, luckily it came in.
It came in.
And I was buzzing about that. So Katie was my priority in who I told on this journey of let's fuck off cocaine, because she's my number one and she's my rock. So I knew if I've got her, I can do this. And yeah, that was day one of no cocaine.
Okay.
After that is my family.
Okay.
So I spent that week, me and Katie spent quite a lot of time with each other. I needed to repair the relationship because it was, I'd been an absolute dickhead.
Yeah.
Palming Katie.
A lot of standing up, you'd said.
Yeah, a lot of standing up.
And are you suffering any withdrawal or anything like that in this period?
Urges are massive.
Right.
Not withdrawal. So
does that translate into like mood swings or sickness?
So it's all in your head, cocaine. If you're an alcoholic, you actually need to get weaned off of alcohol. If you're addicted to heroin, you actually have to be drip-fed heroin. Cocaine, it is in your head.
Right.
So you could go a year with taking cocaine every day, and then the next day, if you stopped, you wouldn't die.
Okay.
You'll be fucking hard because, you think you're addicted and this, that, and the other.
So you've got this week of trying to repair your relationship.
Roller coaster.
But the urges are
still there
on you as well. Are you showing that?
Probably, but I would talk about it.
You would talk about it.
Because one of the things that Katie said was, if you get an urge, let's talk about it. And we went to St Albans, I think that week, and I went into the toilet in St Albans. We went to a pub, went into the toilet, and I was like, oh, this pub would be fucking quality for a line. It's got a lovely little...
Look at that surface
there.
Look
at that vanity unit, what a loser. Lovely vanity unit. That'd be great to rack a line off for that. Anyway, I come out of the toilet, sat down, I was like, I've just had a massive, massive urge. I wasn't planning on picking up, but she was like, all right, let's talk about it. So we spoke about it, and then she reminded me of how shit I felt, basically just taking me back to my lowest point and how I'd feel the next day if I did it, and within 20 minutes the urge had gone. And
so it wasn't a threat from her. It wasn't a do what you want, but I'm on the road. It was very supportive. It was let's talk you out of this. Let's remind
be honest about it. And yeah, exactly. And it's the tool that is being the most powerful right now, and it has been the most powerful because we've spoke about it a couple of times, and then it makes you notice when you don't get the urges, which is awesome. So yeah.
Okay.
That is that.
So then you go to find help from there.
No, then I tell my family.
That's when you tell your family.
So I think it was that weekend. So I met Katie on the Monday, and I think by the Saturday we arranged.
You're ready to tell them.
Ready to tell the family.
And you think your sister already knows something.
So I've told her on the phone.
Okay.
My sister's communicated with my parents because I've longed them off as well. She said there's something up, but he's fine. So we arranged to meet on the Saturday. Fuck me, what a day that was. My parents, so my mum is 60-something. My dad's a bit older, he's 80-something. So my mum's this, you might have seen the videos on TikTok, my mum's this lovely little, innocent lady. And my dad's this hard, brummy ex-police officer. So we sit down, we have a meal. It's me, Katie, Jess, my sister, my mum and dad. And I get the elephant out of the room straight away.
Okay,
like,
yeah, you're not like...
I'm not like, oh, this is the nice lamb, isn't it? Oh, yeah, you know
well,
Dad.
Why is Bill pushing his dinner around his plate? Yeah,
that's mate, no, I was hungry.
Yeah, good. For the first time in a while. Yeah.
I look so bad. Sat them down, and it was Katie's idea. She was just like, just open the floor. So I was like, right, let's get the elephant out of the room. I've had a cocaine problem. I've got a cocaine problem. I'm on the path to righteousness. I told my story, like I've told here, like I've told on the videos online. And I then opened the floor to the questions. I was like, Jess, Mum, Dad.
Who asks first?
Katie, ask anyone. And my dad just straight up was like, I can't understand how you've been so fucking weak. And I was like, thank you, I'll take that. I need some hard loving.
Was you expecting that?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. I knew he wouldn't think about anything else apart from weakness, which is fair enough. His generation, hard bastards, don't talk about nothing in their head, just it's straight down the line. And then you got my mum, who, like I said, this lovely little innocent lady, she said, "Have I failed you as a parent?"
Took it straight on herself.
Yeah, ripped my heart out, stamped it on the floor. You got my sister crying, I'm welling up, my mum's welling up, my dad's there just sitting there like a hard bastard, so it doesn't really matter. He's just sitting there like, what's going on? So I had that conflict of understanding from them too, not understanding, but feelings from them. My sister, she kind of knew about it anyway, so her questions were a little bit different. But as the afternoon went on, and I told them how accessible it was, I told them what you're going to do when you're a 17-year-old boy living abroad. You're going to try these things. They didn't understand how accessible it was. They didn't know you could get it within 4 minutes posted through your door. So they started to actually learn that you could easily slip into this, especially if you got a bit of money, you're out on the beers a lot. But at the end of that day, they were exactly the same as Katie. They were like, "We've got you. We'll talk to you about anything you need. We're here for you, and don't block us out." So I'd now gone from being alone, 'cause it was a very lonely place, very lonely back in this 3-week binge. I'd gone from no one knowing really how bad it was to the closest people around me knowing, and knowing that they were there to support me and that I could talk openly about it. I just felt so much better. It was great. It was really good.
So do they trust you now on this, or do they, when they check on you, does it feel supportive, or are they in fear?
They're definitely in fear. There's been a couple of times where all of them have spoke to me separately in fear, and Katie. We was out on a night in Brixton, and I disappeared out of the club to go and get a vape. Genuinely went to get a vape, and Katie was like, "Where are you? What are you doing? Hey, are you picking up?" I totally get that, because
Your form.
Yeah, it's how I used to roll anyway. My sister, if I haven't messaged her in a day, she's like, "How are you? What are you? Are you okay?" So yeah, there's definitely still the fear there, but I think people will now know that when my comms go down, my communications go down.
That's the pattern.
That's the pattern. Steve knows every time. Jess has known every time. They will know every time, because they know where I'd be.
So do you have any friends or other relationships to put right at that point?
Yeah, so it was weird. I didn't plan it to be like this, but week 1 was me and Katie. I'm sorting that out. Week 2, it's like family. And week 3 was friends. And I scheduled a few calls to people, and I've told them my story again. Like, I'm an open book, like I've said. I will be honest about everything now. And I've told all of, a lot of my really good friends. And I tell you what, there's a few of them that have been there themselves and I didn't know. And I feel like an arsehole that I didn't know. But they're treating it differently. They're not telling anyone. They're keeping it to themselves, because I don't think they're ready to.
That's not their path.
It's not their, no, it's not. But yeah, week 3 was friends, and it feels good because I got some really good friends, and they're all there, and they've all just said, "Don't worry about it. Like, you've not been around, but it's cool. We move on."
You're putting them relationships back together. You've gone from being the Bill that will he come, won't he come? Will he stay the whole night? Will he go?
He'll be there all night.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. But no, I realised, and I look back and I was flaky, not turning up to stuff. Missed my dad's birthday, missed my mum's birthday, Father's Day. Loads of stuff with mates. And I do not want to be that guy who is, will he come, will he not? That's not me. The old me is the yes man. He'll be there, and he's back. It's good.
That's good. So at this point, you go and find the key worker, yeah?
Pretty much. So pretty sure when it was me and Katie that week, we were sorting our relationship out. I'm pretty sure it was that week that I looked into what was around the area. So it was the Lorraine Hewitt House in Brixton, which is run by the NHS, and it's for alcohol and drug abuse. Everyone in there is there to get help. And there are people in there that are in a lot worse condition than I am, unfortunately for them, but they're there to get help. And it's an amazing place. you go in there. If you go in there for cocaine use, I can only talk for cocaine use because I don't know what else happens with other drugs. But you have your face-to-face first session, and they assess you, and then they put you with a key worker who they think will work well with you. So my key worker is an ex-cocaine addict and alcoholic, and she's awesome. She's great. I can relate to her because she's been there, and I've had 4 sessions I think now, 1 a week, maybe 5. No, it's got to be more, maybe 5 or 6 actually. 1 a week, face-to-face sessions. We talk about things like how to cope with urges. She's talking to me about, she told me how we're problem solvers. She's encouraging me to go to CA, Cocaine Anonymous, when I'm ready. I will go to that, but I've got a lot of stuff going on at the moment, and I don't want to overwhelm myself with stuff, because she did say if you've got too much going on, then you could slip back into a relapse. So that's working really well for me, and it gives me some accountability, because I don't want to let her down, and I want to turn up each week, and it feels good when you get there the next week and you haven't taken any drugs. So yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah, it's a, as basic as it is, it's a very well established way of building new habits. The marking off the calendar.
Yeah.
It's why AA give out chips once you've had periods of sobriety.
Exactly. So
all of that works 1-to-1.
Yep.
And like you said, you're planning on going to group after that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I pay for a private therapist as well.
Okay.
So Steve, my best mate, who took me, into his house to save me, he knows someone who was in the same position as me, and his wife and kids were going to leave, and he used this therapist, and it helped him. So he's a success story, and Steve passed me his number, and I'm now getting, I'm getting 1-to-1 therapy once a week as well. So I stagger the two. I have a key worker one day of the week, then my therapist another day of the week, and then go into the next week, and it's the same again. So I don't go too long without outside help, which is good, which is working really well. And some of the stuff that we're going through is a lot deeper. So he's trying to hit the nail on the head as to why I got into the situation I did. And the most recent thing that we've gone over is I had to share with him my negative timeline of losses in my life, breakups, any trauma, and he's going to try we're going to work together to,
see if there's a root cause.
See what is the cause, and the draw for me, like we were talking about earlier, what that draw is and how I can get rid of that draw.
So would it be fair to say then that your key worker is trying to keep you sober for tomorrow, and your therapist is trying to stop the relapse?
Yeah, I reckon that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I've not thought about that, but they do work quite well together. And someone told me the other day, treat therapy like a buffet. Have a go at everything, and then choose the thing you like. So, I will try CA. I will go to the group sessions. There's another one in Brixton that I'm going to go to. But right now, I'm just trying little different. I'm trying my key worker. I'm trying my therapist. I'm trying, being open. I'm going to try reading. I bought a book recently. I'm going to try reading that, and then I'm going to see what's working for me. But right now, the key worker, being open about it with everyone, and my therapist is working well. Well, it's 8 weeks, so yeah, it's results are
it's incredible.
Aren't they?
Yeah, you have to start with 8 weeks before you can have 9.
Yeah,
and are you still having urges now?
What, right now, sitting at this table?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I've got a bag in my pocket.
Yeah.
A lot less, man. To be honest with you, a hell of a lot less. I don't know why. I don't actually know why. Is it because I'm drinking less? I'm capping myself at 3 beers, and I don't drink Monday to... Oh, shit, it's Monday. I've had a gin. It's bank holiday, right?
Bank holiday. Special exception, and you stuck to the other part of the rule.
So I don't know whether it's because I've capped, I'm only drinking a couple of drinks. Maybe that's why I'm getting less urges, because it would be, you know, more common to pick up after 3 or 4 beers than it would just one.
You think that that's the crossover point in judgment? You think there's a risk beyond 3 beers?
I reckon for a lot of people, yes. But funnily enough, with me, I was dry sniffing, so I wasn't even actually, in the end, on the binges, I wasn't even drinking. I'd go down the pub and have a beer, and then I'd go home.
Yeah.
And I wasn't drinking during it. So, but to answer your question, yeah, the urges, they are still there. And the key worker did say there will always be urges. She's 3 years clean, and she's still, hers is alcohol mainly. So she went from a cocaine addict to an alcoholic, and she replaced cocaine with alcohol, and she hit alcohol even harder. So hers is now, cocaine's out of the question for her, but it's now booze. And she said, you know, the other day, last week, and this is, you know, since I've seen her, she went to the corner shop, saw a bottle of brandy there, and she was like, oh, that'd be really nice, I'm having a shit day. And then she walked out. She got a buzz from not buying the bottle of brandy. So they'll always be there. I know that. It's just how you deal with them. I need to get my dopamine hits from elsewhere.
And where are they coming from?
My
now?
dopamine hits?
Yeah.
My girlfriend. My mountain biking, my climbing, my outdoor fitness, nature, trees, birds, rivers, anything to do with the outdoors, and let's say extreme sports, rollerblading, longboarding, anything to do with outside.
So it was nice to hear you say things like nature, birds, rivers, because I was, you know, I'd seen one of your recent TikToks which said you're filling your time with sports, and I was going to ask what happens if you couldn't. Yeah. If you got injured, or you know, like when COVID took everyone's lives away and everyone gets stuck inside. You know, what's your coping strategy when you can't fill your time with sport?
Good question.
Especially when you're doing extreme sports, the chances of a broken arm or leg is pretty high.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. I've had my thumb in a support for the last 3 or 4 days because I'm back into my football, and I sprained my thumb the other day. So I haven't been able to go to the outdoor gym in the park and do my pull-ups, but instead I've been longboarding. So, you know, I've used my legs instead of my hands. If I injured my legs, it's a great question, Jack. It's a great question. I mean, I'd just go outside and I would sit in that. I'd get wheeled to the fucking park and get Katie to wheel me around very quickly around some off-track path.
Just take me to a hill and push me down. Yeah.
No, for me, I've always been into my green space. I've pretty much grown up outside. You know, I'd never be inside as a kid, so I'd always be up a tree or playing football or on my bike, something to do with the outside. So, yeah, if I hurt myself and I couldn't do my sports, I would just go out and I'd just be outside. That would help me out.
It's good. You've got strategies in place to deal with any eventuality. So, as we sort of, you know, draw this to a close, it's been quite an interesting journey for you, and I can see what the power of having someone by your side that's very supportive can do for you. And, you know, as a guy who's known you for a long time, I dread to think what that would have been like alone. You know, that would have been horrible alone.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can tell you're very grateful for having not had to do it alone. It's nice to see you 8 weeks sober.
Thanks.
And, you know, I want it to continue for as long as possible. And are you planning on giving back to this community? You know, your key workers helped you.
Yeah.
Is it your intention to stay involved in the recovery community?
It's definitely crossed my mind. I was looking at my key worker the other day thinking, I wonder if I could, you know, do what she does, try and help people. But with the where I'm sharing my journey on TikTok, a lot of people are saying that it's really supportive, it's helping them, keep posting, asking me questions, advice. Obviously, I can't give advice because it only works for me, but I just suggest some good things. But yeah, I do.
Yeah, but therapy's like a buffet.
It is.
Yeah. You're just giving them.
Nicely said.
You're giving them your part of the buffet.
Yeah, you can eat my part of the buffet. Good shout. Right, all the advice coming up. I would really like to give something back for sure. Because what I realise as well, being online, is the amount of people that it does affect and you don't know. And even the amount of people that I've spoke to that I do know and it's affected them really opened my eyes, because it is everywhere. Cocaine is everywhere, and people need help with it, and people need to know what it does to you.
What about the families? Are you getting contacted by people that have concern for a relative of theirs? Is that...
Yeah, which is, it's kind of a funny one, really. Quite a few people are like, oh, my boyfriend has got a problem, but I don't know how to approach it. And I'm like, this isn't a great move, because he ain't going to like that. If you're texting a guy about how to help him. So I'm kind of like, you really need to, we don't need to, but what I suggest is you ask him if he wants help, because if he doesn't want help,
He needs
he
to
ain't
get
ready.
there on his own.
Yeah, and I am ready, and I've shown that because I've gone out of my way on my own to get help, and I'm sticking to it. Whereas at first I was not forced, but my sister was like, you need to make those calls to the NHS. You need to do those calls. And I did it, and I was like, nah, I wasn't really into it.
It was a pacification.
Exactly.
I told you I tried it.
Yeah, right, I'm back on it. So, when it comes to other people asking help for others, I really think you need to check with them that they are ready, because they might still be in denial, which is, obviously it's an issue, but it's not a massive problem, because they're more likely, in my opinion, to relapse if they ain't ready to get the help. So try and be more open with them. I appreciate you asking me for the advice, but it doesn't sound like they're ready if you have to hide asking, to help them out, if that makes sense.
And, looking back on your period of using, do you no doubt have some regret, but do you have... Is it one of those stories where people say, I wouldn't change it, it's made me who I am, or would you like to undo it if you could?
I'd like my money back. That would be nice. But, one thing that I think I've sort of worked out myself, this is probably bullshit, but it's working for me, is that I think my mind was driving my body so far down in a hole that the only way to get out of that hole was to get help. So I think somewhere in my fucked up mind, there was a little bit that was the clearest, most focused part of my mind was telling me to keep getting this coke. Go on, mate. Go on, you just keep going. You keep doing it. Keep driving yourself down there, until I did hit that bottom, forcing my body to...
You knew you had to find the bottom.
Self-destruction, yeah. So I don't regret what I've done, because I actually do think I'm a stronger person today. And mine and Katie's relationship is solid. Like, not because of this, but it has helped us grow.
It's now full of honesty.
Open
discussion.
Massively. And with the family and the friends. Some people might say, well, if you didn't get on it anyway, then all of that would have been fine. Well, I don't know, because it's happened, so whatever. It's done. What it's done,
it was probably always in there. Yeah,
it's in the tank. And I've the party's over for me in cocaine sense. Like, and I am happy with that.
Good.
The party is done, mate. Like, I've got no problem with people using it. Not at all. Some people can use it within moderation and have a great time, but I can't. And I've learnt that. So I don't think I do have any regrets. I obviously regret, and I feel guilty for how I've treated people. Yes. But I know that I'm going to turn it around, and that the end product is going to be pretty damn good. So
that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. So just quickly then, what's the quickest way for people to get help that are ready to receive it?
So what I did was I went online and I just typed in drug abuse help in Lambeth, because that's where we're living, and a few things came up, and it's pretty much going to be the NHS.
Just making the call.
Yeah, there will be. Just pick up that phone, and if you're ready, if someone's forcing you to do it, I don't know if you should do it, but you know, I think just pick up the phone, call that number. It will probably be with the NHS, and yeah, just get that assessment and get yourself a key worker, because it's definitely changed my life.
That's great. Thank you very much for doing this. You've been
Mm-hmm.
very vulnerable, very honest, very brave. Thank you for sharing your story, not just with me, but on TikTok for the people that need it, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I hope it is doing some good. I think addiction stories are interesting. They're complicated.
Mm-hmm.
They're wrought with indecision along the way. People want to change but can't, and it always takes that one thing, and you just pray for people that they have that rock bottom before it's too late. There's plenty of people that have drunk themselves to death or overdosed, and it's gotten away from them. So I'm truly pleased you got there early. I'm grateful that you continue to help people that are still suffering. And thank you for coming on and supporting my podcast as well, because I really appreciate that.
It was an honour. I loved it. Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you if they want to learn more about your story?
I'm not giving you my address.
No.
But you can,
In case they're given to the dealers that's pensions have just dried up.
Through the door. So TikTok is MyCokeZero. So that's where you can.
And that's where you're documenting your journey.
Yeah, I've started it as a little journal for my journey for taking no cocaine. So
I love it, mate.
That is where I'm at.
Yeah, please keep it going. It's a good watch as well. So
cheers, mate.
Keep documenting, and keep up the hard work.
I will do.
Don't stop.
No, I won't. I'm definitely I'm on the right path. It feels good.
I think you are. Yeah. And you're doing it with the right person as well. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, bro.
That was really good.
Was
really enjoyed that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Oh,
Hey.
cheers. We didn't even go too long. I think it was about